What if I told you that George Russell's future at Mercedes could be in jeopardy, even after one of the best performances of his career? The behind-the-scenes world of Formula One is often much more complex and unpredictable than it seems. Max Verstappen's name is circulating heavily within the paddock, and this could completely change the course of negotiations within the German team. If you think a driver's position is guaranteed solely by their talent, think again. The reality of F1 is much harsher, and today we're going to understand why Russell might be caught in a storm and how Gabriel Bortoleto is quietly fighting his own battle on the grid. Let's start by breaking down the situation for George Russell. On the track, Russell has been consistent, talented, and determined. In the Bahrain Grand Prix, for example, he managed to overcome serious car issues like brake problems and electrical failures and still delivered a brilliant race. However, off the track, things are much more complicated than they seem. According to former F1 driver and commentator Bradley, Russell should be worried about what's brewing at Mercedes. Despite all of Russell's stellar performances, his contract with Mercedes is set to expire at the end of this season. So far, there has been no official renewal. There have been talks, but nothing has been formalized. And with the possibility of Max Verstappen becoming available, thanks to the growing instability at Red Bull, Russell's position at Mercedes has become precarious. Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, has long had an interest in Verstappen. Back when Verstappen was still racing in junior categories, Wolff already recognized his potential. However, he let the opportunity slip. Now, with the possibility of Verstappen leaving Red Bull, Wolff sees a chance to rectify that mistake and bring the Dutch champion to Mercedes. This possibility makes things much more complicated for Russell. While Russell has been delivering strong performances, his future isn't as secure as it might seem. Wolff understands that Verstappen's presence would bring significant value, both in terms of performance and commercially. Verstappen, as a four-time world champion, would not only bring victories but also solidify Mercedes' position as a top team for years to come. Wolff, known for his cold and calculated approach to team management, might view Russell as dispensable if Verstappen becomes available. For George Russell, the challenge isn't just about maintaining good performance on the track. It's about proving that he is the future of Mercedes. In the F1 world, raw talent alone isn't enough to guarantee a seat. Wolff's history of strategy and team building has shown that he's willing to make bold decisions if it means securing Mercedes' future. This is why Russell needs to prove that he can be indispensable, someone who can't be easily replaced, even if a four-time world champion becomes available. The reality is that the Formula One world doesn't run solely on loyalty. Wolff has shown that when it comes to making big decisions for the team, there's little room for sentimentality. Russell, while a promising talent, needs to do more than just race well. He needs to show that he has the leadership, maturity, and vision to lead Mercedes into the future. As we all know, Formula One is a sport where opportunities can change in an instant. The possibility of Verstappen leaving Red Bull could be a game-changer for the entire grid. If that happens, Wolff will likely do whatever it takes to secure Verstappen's services. The value of having a driver like Verstappen at Mercedes is immense, both for performance and for the commercial benefits that would follow. For Wolff, it's a long-term play. Having Verstappen could guarantee Mercedes' dominance in the sport for several years. But if Mercedes does make a move for Verstappen, where does that leave George Russell? Despite Russell's strong performances, it seems that Wolff's focus may shift if Verstappen is available. In an environment like Formula One, where teams are constantly looking ahead and planning for the future, loyalty has its limits. Wolff has no qualms about making difficult decisions for the good of the team. This has created a tense situation for Russell, who has to prove that he can be Mercedes' future leader, regardless of the allure of Verstappen. When a driver doesn't have a renewed contract, even during a strong period of performance, the insecurity becomes apparent. Despite Russell's excellent races, the lack of an official renewal for next season makes things uncomfortable. Silence in negotiations rarely signals good news in Formula One, and that silence is what's currently hanging over Russell. Every race from now on is a chance for Russell to solidify his place at Mercedes. He can't just drive well. he has to show leadership, maturity, and a vision for the future. He needs to make it clear that he's more than just a driver. He's someone who can steer Mercedes into the next era of Formula One. In essence, he needs to prove that he's the future of Mercedes, not just a stopgap until a bigger name comes along. While the focus remains on big names like Max Verstappen and George Russell, there are others quietly making their way through the ranks, carving their path to the top. One such driver is Gabriel Bortoleto, a rising star in Formula One. Unlike Russell or Verstappen, Bortoleto doesn't have the luxury of a top-tier car that can consistently compete for victories. Instead, he's in a much more difficult situation, fighting, not only to finish races, but to make a meaningful impact with a limited package. Bortoleto doesn't have the luxury of consistently battling for podiums, but what he does have is the respect of those who understand the true nature of building a career in Formula